Hello. We're going to do something a bit different today. I have been wanting to make a video, a recording, of the reason why we do some of the exercises that we do. When I'm actually teaching the class to you on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have a full slate of exercises. So I often cannot stop and explain what that particular exercise is good for, why we do it, and what's important about it. So this is not really an exercise video. It's more something for you perhaps to sit down and listen and watch with the hope that I'm going to give you an understanding of what I have learned, why I believe some of these things to be so important. So relax and watch this with me. A little bit of talking in the beginning. I made some notes, so I have to make sure, I want to make sure there are things that I cover. First of all, I want you to know that those of you that may be new to the class, what I do is weight training and stretching and some stomach and back work is what I try to incorporate. We do not do cardio in this class. We do a little bit of a warm-up, but no cardio. I'm going to start by saying that a little bit about cardio because it is important. Exercise is an interesting thing. The more you do it, the less effective it becomes because your body gets used to the same exercise all the time. I'm going to go into how that's different with stretching, but with cardio, if your body is used to, many of you tell me, I walk the mall. And I think that's great. I love it that you walk the mall. I walk Kinder Park here in Severna Park. I love walking with a friend. It's fun to make the time go faster. But I do want you to know that walking is not always enough. I know that many of you don't like to bike or swim, but perhaps every now and then you might get on a stationary bike. A lot of us are worried about balance on a regular bike, but perhaps you can get on a bike. And the reason I mention a bike is because the motion of the bike uses different muscles than you do when you're walking. The motion of swimming, for example, is fabulous. And it is also a great exercise, not only for cardio, but for non-impact. And the other thing I do like, believe it or not, is if you go dancing or play a sport or things like that, that's all cardio. And of course, many of you know I play tennis and we play pickleball now. So those are all things that are cardio. What's the best cardio? This is my answer. I know that swimming is really good for me because it's no impact, but I'm not really a good swimmer. Andy's a great swimmer. Used to be a lifeguard, nice strong stroke. Me, I'm more of a frantic swimmer. And also you gotta get your hair wet in the wintertime, it's cold. So I'm obviously not a real fan of swimming, but I know it's good for me. So when people say, what's the best exercise I can do? I will tell you now, the best exercise you can do is the one that you like to do, because that's the one you will do. I know swimming is good for me, but I can't tell you the last time I got in the pool and did laps because it's not something I'm motivated to do. So I'm not going to say anything more about cardio, but I want you to know that it's necessary. Just because I don't teach it in this class, it's still important for you to get cardio, take that walk, whether it's in the mall or in the park, whether it's tennis or pickleball. Another sidebar on this, something that I was able to do in the gym that I am not able to do here in my basement, is that I used to have people walk backwards around the gym with a partner, and you would walk backwards. I want you to know that, believe it or not, that's a very important skill. You've got to be able to put one foot. So if you have a place where you feel safe or a partner that's willing to do it with you, every now and then you should practice walking backwards. We did all these things when we were young. We played basketball. We went dancing. We did lots of things. Kids do not have to exercise. They exercise all day, as did you when you were a child. They do not have to exercise. But as we get older and we get more sedentary, we actually have to seek out, I'm going to go take a walk. And I think many of you have heard me say, I watched the little girl across the street, Delaney. She likes a pogo stick, and she comes out the front door first thing in the morning, doing, 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 and she does not stop all day. This child does not need to go take a walk. She's in motion all day. Unlike us, we have to say, okay, I've got to make sure that I get an hour of cardio in. All right, so that's the first thing. I don't want to leave cardio out. The second thing I'm going to start with, believe it or not, is your feet. And I don't want to overthink this, but I want you to know one of the best classes that I went to years and years ago was a woman who talked about your feet and the importance they are in your overall body carriage. And many of you know that I watch people from behind. I look at my students and will often say, watch your left foot's coming out. Many of you know, if you've ever looked at people, if you make a hobby of it, watching people will often flare out one leg or maybe both. And this is bad for your overall. To quote the lecture that I heard on feet, the girl started the whole class, which I thought was very cute. She said, if you stand like this when you are 16, you have an attitude. If you stand like this when you are 60, you have a problem. So the reason is because our body is strongest when our toes, our knees, our hips, and our shoulders are right in alignment. And that doesn't sound like a lot until any of you that have had knee problems, hip problems, feet problems, know what I'm talking about. So it is really important that you wear proper shoes. You all know that I'm not a big believer in flip-flops. I think that they are very dangerous, not only for seniors, but especially for seniors. Going down the steps with flip-flops is a recipe for disaster. So please know that I'm a real stickler on your feet, your knees, your hips, and your shoulders and all being in alignment. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is I wanted to make sure that I talked about the 4 things that I think are most important that I hope that we deal with here in the class. Posture, balance, stretch, strength, and cardio, which I already addressed. So those are the 4 things that I think are most important. All right, so the posture. We starts with your feet, obviously, starts with your knees and hips and everything pointing in the direction that you're going. The other thing I want you to know that's very common is for us to lead with our head. All right, so you have to catch yourself. One of the exercises we do is up against the wall. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is actually a great posture check, and it's a wonderful thing that we do. And often when I stand up against the wall, I think, ooh, I thought I was standing up straight. And then you go stand up against the wall and you realize that you were not, in fact, standing up straight. A lot of us, including myself, tend to be in a hurry. And when I'm walking, I'm going to do it from the side. We lead from the head and we walk forward like this. Please be careful of that. The neck and the head probably weigh about 10 pounds. If you're smarter than me, you're probably 12 pounds. But what I want you to know is that in today's world, with the computer, with the phone, we spend a lot of time like this. And I've talked to you about beading, my crafts, or sewing, knitting, a lot of things I do, my head comes forward. So I have to spend the rest of my day, or my exercise, or when I'm doing my walk through the park, I really have to push my head back. Remember, it's not so much shoulders back. You do not want to have posture like this. You want to have posture with your shoulders straight down, your head and chin back a little bit, if anything. And that's the way you want to walk. Now, we can't stay like that all day. That's just the reality of the situation. I'm cooking, not too often. I'm reading or beading. Everything with your head forward. So when you are not doing those activities, please make a conscious effort to push your head back. And like I said, it's not shoulders back. The comment here is shoulders down. Pull your shoulders down, and that will give you that nice long neck that we want. Why you want a long neck, I don't know, but you want a long neck and your head is back, okay? So posture. The wall that we do is one of the great checks on that. One of the other ones that I like that we do is when we lay on the floor, which is the same idea. You're laying flat, you're getting your head back over your shoulders. So posture. Posture has a lot to do, which I'm going to slip into the next thing, with balance. Most of you were in class or know Dawn spoke of a sister-in-law that she lost because she fell down the steps. I find that so tragic. But it does happen, and balance is, I see just needless things that could happen because we are not in good posture or don't have good balance. So it sounds silly, but a lot of the things we do to align ourselves and to make ourselves stronger on one leg all has to do with balance. So if you take nothing from this whole Gabby video that I'm making today, there's one thing you need to know. Your body is a unit. Your whole body operates as one unit. I've had people over the years come to me and say, how do I get rid of this? This is, I've got big hips, or I've got big whatever. What you need to know is that it's a unit. If your feet are not right, then your hips are not right. If your shoulders are not right, if everybody has had a bad shoulder, it affects your whole body, including your posture, your balance, and probably your overall attitude. But I want you to know that this is a unit. You cannot exercise your feet and not exercise your knees. You cannot exercise your arms and weights without exercising your core. So if I don't have a strong core and I stand here and do weights, all right, or lay and do weights, those all affect your balance, your posture, and your overall, what was I saying, your strength and everything. I want to make sure that I do that. So, and like I said, if you don't take anything from that, think of the body as a unit. You cannot exercise one part. If this foot is hurting, my whole body is going to compensate in my walk, and it's probably going to come out on, not on that side, but on this side, because this side is going to compensate for the bad foot that I have on that side. I don't like to, he doesn't like me to talk about him, but I do remember, I'll say it quietly, I do remember when Andy first had hip problems, and after he had the hip fixed and he was realigned, so to speak, when you looked at his back, the muscles in his back were completely different on one side than the other. It took him about 2 years to realign his body because his body had been compensating for the fact that he had been taking care of the one side of his body. It was actually in his right hip. So the left side had been working harder to take care of the body on the other side. All right, I'm going to start into the exercises now, why we do the things we do. Sounds like a song. All right, my body likes change. I talked about that. Oh, the other thing I want to talk about, two other things before I start some of the demonstrations. Number one, when people do fall, what's the first thing 9 times out of 10 they break is their hip. So what we do, believe it or not, is a lot of hip strengthening work here. Every time we do the leg lifts, all right, whether it's on the floor or at the wall, those are all hip strengthening things. When we do some of the other moves, like we're lifting the leg to the back, not only is that lower back working here, but also the hip. So the other thing that I love, when we do the band and we take the hip all the way out and around, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but all these are hip strengthening exercises. The other thing that most of you will find, the one thing that happens as we get older is leg strength. Leg strength is a big deal here. So people, have you seen people try to get up out of a chair and they rock themselves up? They don't just sit up, stand up and sit down. Look, all right. So, leg strength. You should be able to, with your feet like this, stand up and without your hands and sit down, okay? If you need them, make sure you do this. If you use your hands, push up from here and come straight up. What I don't want you doing is rocking yourself forward, because what can happen is you can go forward, okay? So all the stuff that we do, and I'm gonna name it now, leg strength, when we do the step back, okay? These are all leg strength exercises. You have to keep your legs strong. Again, we wouldn't have to do this if we were playing basketball or rollerblading or spending hours walking, doing whatever, dancing. All those things were wonderful for leg strength. We spend a lot of time sitting now. I've already admitted I'm very active, but I'm reading and beating now. So I'm doing a lot of sitting. So not only am I like this, but my legs are not getting a lot of workout or a lot of strength when I'm sitting. So one of the things that you still always have to practice, getting out of a chair with your legs straight up and straight down, okay? And make sure that your feet are not back behind your knees. Make sure your ankles are right under your knees. And yes, this is something you can practice. Get up and get down, okay? While I'm here with the chair, coordination. We do this when we're doing the coordination on Wednesday, chair day. Coordination, by the way, is very important for balance and also for your strength, your overall strength. If you are not coordinated when you take a step forward or backwards, you could be unsteady. So you'll see people sometimes that are not balanced. For example, I shouldn't use her as well, but my mother now with the Parkinson's, she has a walker and she has lost so much coordination. And my mom was a swimmer and a tennis player, and we tease her. She played high school basketball, but it is sad in a way to see that she has lost coordination, and that we worry when she's using the walker, as she should. You take your time. There often is situations when people are getting in and out of a car, walking in and out of a building, walking on a surface. Andy and I took the boat ride to St. Michael's yesterday, and I was watching a lot of people board and get off the boat. At one point in St. Michael's, they get us off the boat into a grassy area. Well, here come people with walkers. Know that you're going to get yourself into situations where you're not in your home. Now, a lot of the accidents happen at home, but I think that when you put yourself into situations that are unknown, like the cobblestones in Annapolis or grassy areas where you're going to watch grandchildren play sports, that's where you have to be very careful that your coordination, your leg strength, your balance, all of these things come into play. You're not going to get it overnight. It does take a lot of practice. All right, so back to coordination. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I hope that you're following my train of thought here. Coordination, when we do a lot of these things, this is something that, again, we have to practice now. We don't automatically, unless you're with my granddaughter, we play, we play a lot. But those are all childhood skills that are coordination, being able to do those things with someone else, just as we're doing with ourselves in the chair. All right, let me think what else I talk about with the chair. The stretching that we do here in the chair should be fairly obvious. I love these stretches because there are things that you can do. We've often talked about this. The chair stretches are things that you can do when you're traveling, when you don't have the opportunity to get down on the floor. But if you're just in a chair, all of these stretches are able to be done. And I encourage people when they're starting back to exercise, take the Wednesday class. They think, oh, it's just a chair class. But I think the Wednesday class can be very challenging and very accommodating for people that are really just getting back into it. And like I said, it's an alternative. When you're sitting there, you can sit down and do your chair exercises at any time. You don't have to feel like you gotta go to the gym or join me on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, so I'm gonna go over some of the exercises that we do, why we do them, and what they stretch. Some of them are fairly obvious. When you take the one down here by your legs, I will tell you right now where I feel it is in the back of my legs first, okay? And you're hopefully gonna feel it in your lower back here, okay? I take the right hand over to the left and hold it. Something I will do here a little bit more than I do any other time is hold the stretch. I can't do it all the time when I'm teaching. 10 seconds is good. 20 seconds is great. 30 seconds is the best. So most times we do not hold that stretch for 30 seconds, but a true stretch is to hold it. You'll find in many exercises, I count to 10 to make sure that I do not hurry that exercise. I'm going to bring it back over here to the other side. Again, you're stretching the back of your leg. Why stretch the back of the leg? So glad you asked. We spend a lot of time when you sit like this, okay? When you sit like this, these muscles in the back of your legs shorten. So when you go like that, that stretches out that muscle. Just sitting, those muscles contract. And if you spend a lot of time sitting, you may see people stand up like this, and they can't straighten their legs anymore. Okay, so those stretches, again, these, all right, all are stretches that make sure that your legs can stretch out the back of your leg. Again, it's not one piece. We're a whole puzzle right here. So if you want your legs to be straight, and we all want our legs to be straight, and it can, believe it or not, over time, if you continue to try to say, oh, my legs will never get straight, they can, believe it or not, I know it's hard to imagine, but over time, they can work themselves out a little bit more, maybe not to a perfect ballerina thing, but they can get looser and that muscle will gain strength doing that. I'm going to reach out on this one, okay, lower my head, inhale up, exhale over. Again, back of the leg, overall strength for both legs and your lower back, okay? And we're going to switch just because we're here. Reach out, lower your head, inhale up, exhale over. Nice and slow. Again, when I do at my next recording, and there will be another recording, to do when a class when I'm not available, I'm going to make it longer because I want the stretches to be held longer. All right, last one here is when you do this one. All right, again, wonderful stretch for your sciatic. That's that psoas muscle in your butt. We spend a lot of time sitting on it. Sit up nice and tall, lean your chest forward. And if you're like me, I feel it more on one side than the other side. All right. Exhale. I'm going to talk about breathing next. Inhale. Exhale. Back is flat on this one. Lean your chest forward. Again, you can't hold these stretches too long. Usually we're just anxious to move on to the next stretch activity or whatever. All right. Just keep thinking that we're a whole unit. I just said I was going to do something. The other things we do here which I think I will do because they're pretty obvious, but let me get this one. Most of you, again, this seems like a little exercise, but when you've done it for a long time, your wrist, which is a very vulnerable part of you, is, for those of us that play tennis and pickleball and things like that, I really believe that the wrist is important, but it doesn't have to be so. It can be when you've taken a fall. Perhaps you won't break your wrist, or if you trip and you catch yourself, you won't break your wrist or sprain your wrist because it's a little stronger. And on this one, I want to make sure that the leg, if you can see it from here, the leg is, the weight, excuse me, is all the way down here. You roll it up 1, 2, 3. So you're really working the wrist here. You can use a little bit more weight here. If you do anything over the break, every now and then you might grab, if you use 2 or 3 pounds, grab a 4-pound weight when you're going through target. And there are certain exercises that you can do a little bit more weight with. This would be one of them, because most of us do things with things that are at least 5 pounds. Okay, so that's a good one there with just the wrist. The next one we move into is for your bicep. The bicep and tricep are very important for obvious reasons, just for strength, but also for the overall strength of the arm. You can't just work the bicep without working the tricep, because you want strength in the front and the back of the arm for all the activities. You would never, for example, work the chest without working the back, because then have you ever seen the guys that walk through the gym like this? Well, they've overworked the back, okay, and haven't worked the chest. So you want to make sure that the chest opens up. You'll see different physique tell people, or tells you kind of sometimes what people do for a living. If they're athletic and professional athletes and things like that, they've got to have really strong triceps and biceps to do the sports that they're trying to do. But we need that as well. So you would never do just the bicep without doing the tricep. You have to work the front and the back of the arm, just as you have to work the front and the back of the body. So just very quickly, these are pretty obvious. This is the bicep curl, okay? We usually do at least 10, unless it's Fridays, and we try to do 20. You can do 20. I do not use my heaviest weight on Friday when I know I'm going to do 20 pounds or 20 repetitions. I use a little bit lighter of a weight because I want to do something different on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm going to draw back to what I first said. Remember that the problem with exercise is the more you do it, the less effective it becomes. So you're always trying to mix it up. So we try to mix it up on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. How many reps we do, how we're standing, sitting, the different places that we are doing the exercise, whether we're doing 20 reps or even just doing that 100 every now and then. And I'll demonstrate that so you'll know how to do that. All right, that's the bicep. I'm going to go ahead and just do the tricep from here, right up here. We're working the back of the arm. I don't ever, see, I'm not with you now. So I worry that your arm is out here and not right here. The arm should be right next to your ear. Then the weight goes behind your head and lift. 1, 2. So when you work the bicep, you've got to make sure you work the tricep. All right, so all these are for arm strength. Again, why arm strength? Because you're an overall unit. You take care of the shoulders, you're taking care of the neck, taking care of this. It's one unit. You have to make sure you start from the feet, the ankles, the legs, the knees. And when I go through, you'll see, hopefully, you'll see a pattern here of trying to work every part of the body. All right? All right, so we've got the bicep, tricep. This is shoulders, this one that we do. We bring it up. This is your shoulder. Up. All right, and when your hands come under, this is core. This is when you hold it straight out. And I'm going to, for the sake of holding it out, I'm going to let you know that I feel this in my back and my tummy. And so that's your core, making sure that I don't go like that. So this is your core, just trying to hold it straight out. Doesn't have to be a heavy weight. You're just holding it straight out here, and your body has to develop that core strength so that you can hold it out there. What's another one that we do here? Well, one of the ones that I absolutely love that we do here is when you turn, left hand on your right knee, right hand on your back. Okay, so while we're doing the stretch, I'm going to tell you that this is, believe it or not, this is a stomach and back stretch and exercise. So I'm going to take a break and tell you that when you work stomach, all right, there's 3 sets of abdominal muscles. This one up here, I can't even remember now what they're called, but there's 3 sets. One here, and one on either side, all right? The one here is when you're doing crunches, which we do, all right? And that's this upper abdominal area. The lower abdominal muscle, which is really hard to work, to be honest with you, that's when, whoops, there's Owen. I can't answer him right now. I hope that doesn't mess up my recording. I'm still recording. Okay. Andy, can you hear me? Andy? All right, I'm going to tell him to call Owen. So the next one is for your lower abdominal, and the reason I bring that up is because you're bringing the knee up, all right? Bring it up and down, up, whoop, there's balance, up and down. Anything that brings the knees up works the lower abdominal muscles. So when you're doing these things, that's working the lower. When we're on our back and you're bringing your knees in, that's working the lower abdominal. All right, the last one of the group of the abdominal, upper, lower, and then the obliques, which are the ones that wrap around your side. These are the ones I think that people actually don't think about, that they pull more than not, because they turn, and you may do an activity like lifting something and going like that, whether it be, the one that was famous was, people were talking about, they were stripping the bed, for example, and they get up and they hop out of the bed, and rather than move around first, they decide to strip the bed, and they're still straight all night, and all of a sudden they go and they do this activity. So the thing used to be, when you're sleeping, you are plastic, okay? You are in one position, hopefully, or at least your back and everything, for 8 hours, let's say. And then all of a sudden, elastic is when you start moving. So think of your body and your muscles being rigid and then being all of a sudden moving. So the story was, I used to say elastic to plastic to elastic. And one of the students was changing her bed, this is so many years ago, and she pulled the sheets off of the bed, and she immediately pulled her back out. She could feel when she pulled this out, she immediately pulled her back out, and she said to her husband, elastic to plastic, plastic to elastic. And her husband, like, what are you talking about? And she said, all I could remember was that you had said, don't jump out of bed and immediately pull the sheets off the bed or do that activity until you have allowed your body to warm up to a certain point, so that your body is ready to do the flexibility. But going back, your oblique muscles are the ones on your side that allow you to do this. And we do a lot of twisting like this because that is all your back strengthening. When you hold that like this, or hold it like this. That's giving your oblique muscles the range of motion that they need, okay? All right, let's see what else is on my list. I hope this is kind of what you need. Coordination, walking forward and backwards. I did all that. All right, we're really on to just giving more explanation about why you do the things you do. All right, so I think I've covered the chair pretty good, the weights in the chair, anything that we do like this. Again, I encourage you to do light weights or no weights, because that's all for your shoulder. So you just want to do the range of motion and keep the range of motion. I'm going to move my chair out of the way. All right. So my new favorite thing, as many of you know, is the one to open up your chest and use your back. And believe it or not, I think I've told you, I have my girlfriends and all doing this on the tennis court and everything else. You lace your fingers, you bring it up, palms together, and then open your hands wide. A couple things are going on here, I hope you can see. And I'm going to do it from the side so you see. My chest is opening. A lot of times what happens is we end up closing the chest and rolling the shoulders. I'm exaggerating, but there are varying degrees of this. So I want you to open your chest. I'm going to speak to the women here, so the gentlemen don't have to listen. But I have spoken to more girls my age, women younger, women older, and many of us became self-conscious, especially if you were athletic. We became self-conscious of our chest when we were athletic and getting a chest. So what we did was we got bad posture, and you walked like this or stood like this, and now we got to undo that. The reason is because we were able to get away with it up to a certain point. And now as we get older, if you have spent your life like this, now you're not going to be able to open up your chest. So, all chest talk aside, it goes for men as well, but I can't tell you how many women I've talked to that we became self-conscious when we were younger, and it carried over to our posture. And we know that building block of having bad posture only just magnifies itself the older we get. So we've got to, if you haven't before, you got to work on it now. Lace your fingers together, bring your arms up, palms together, open wide, okay? And down. One more, lace the thumbs. Bring it up, palms together, and open wide. Again, this is something, you don't have to wait for me to do this one. You can do this every day without me. Arms out, elbows out, thumbs up, and push the thumbs back. All right? One more. Arms out, elbows out, thumbs up, and push it back. All right. Stretching. After we've done the bicep curls and tricep steps, I usually do a stretch here. And the reason you do that is because after you have worked the muscle, which is what working with the weights is doing, your muscle is warm. So that's the best time to stretch it. Not when you wake up first thing in the morning and start stretching, okay? You have to get your body warmed up. That's why we do a little bit of a warm up. Then you get, once your body is moving, then you can do the stretch. And once you have done the weight work, you do the stretch. While we're stretching, I want to point out something to you. If you would listen to me a little bit closer in the future about when I say inhale and exhale. When you are inhaling and exhaling slowly on the stretch, okay, it makes your body relax into the stretch. So, stretching is an interesting thing. The more you do it, the more your body likes stretching. So, unlike, cardio, when your body gets used to certain things, your body loves stretching all the time. The first time you do a stretch, you go to do something, your body goes, what are you doing? Wait a minute, where are you going with that? So the first time you do a stretch, you've got to be very careful that you don't take it past the limits that your body is ready to do it. After you've done a stretch, this stretch for example, your body goes, oh yeah, I remember this, we did this the other day, and your body will relax into the stretch, okay? So you're adding to your repertoire of ways that you can stretch your body. And we have hundreds of ways that we do it on the floor and standing up, sitting down. These are all stretches. The first time you do them, like I said, your body's going to go, what? Wait a minute. What is this? What is this? And then after you've done them a few times, your body will say, I remember this. And it will relax into the stretch. What helps you relax into the stretch is breathing. I don't want to take too much time on breathing because most of my students say that I don't know whether I'm breathing out, I'm breathing in. I want you to know two things. Number one, keep breathing. Don't ever stop breathing. I don't care if you're inhaling on the exhale, it doesn't matter. I do think though, after a while, and you've been doing the movement with me for a while, you should be able to listen to me when I say inhale, exhale. The second thing is, if you want to do something, exhale on the exertion. So even with the weight work, you inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The exertion means the hard part of the move. So when you're sitting up, for example, on the roll up, and we're going to do that, you'll notice we inhale going down, exhale going up. Okay? So don't worry about the breathing so much, although I want you to know I have had students, clients that have held their breath while they're exercising, and that makes it, they're very anxious about doing the exercise, therefore they kind of hold their breath. That can be problematic in the big picture. So I think I may have told you, I have a niece, Annie's brother's, my niece too, and she teaches breathing, a whole thing on breathing, and it's very interesting. What I do here is different than that. I do active stretching. Over the years, it's evolved from like a Pilates. It's not really yoga, but it's an exercise stretching class. What you see is what we do on Monday, Wednesday, Friday is an evolution of all the things that I've done over the years and the things I've picked out that I think are important to overall do, keep us going and healthy. But the breathing was a very interesting aspect for me to kind of concentrate on. I don't, like I said, sometimes I find it relaxing if you can think about breathing. I will tell you one hint that when I concentrate on my breathing is when I am working on balance. So if I pick up a foot, and I hope that you can hear me actually exhale. I don't know how loud I do that you could hear it, but do not be afraid to take that inhale, exhale through your mouth. All right, since we're here with balance, before we go to the floor, I'm going to talk just a little bit about that. Yes, you should practice balance. When we do things with the chair or with the thing, when you're in the kitchen, if you can make yourself practice it, if you don't use it, you lose it. So as I've said, it's a whole unit. If your legs are not strong, then you're not going to be able to stand on one leg and balance. So it's a unit. Your legs, your feet, everything has to be working with you to be able to balance. Some of my students are having feet problems, ankle problems, whatever. They're going to have a terrible time practicing balance because they don't have the strength in their ankles or their feet. Not going to mention any names, Patrick, but some of you are having feet issues and ankle issues. So that's going to be really hard to be able to balance. So it has nothing to do with your head or the rest of your body. There's a problem there. So it's not going to allow you to do this. But Patrick, I am going to tell you that you need to hold on to something, pick up a foot, even if it's just for 10 seconds, and pick up the other foot for 10 seconds. The reason that is important is to keep your legs strong enough so that if and when your feet issues or your ankle issues are addressed, that you haven't lost the leg strength that you can, that will enable you to be able to do the stretching. Okay? I think I'm ready to move to the floor. Y'all are being very patient. As always, I'm going to get a sip of water. I'm going to get my mat. I'm not going to get a jug today. I think we're going to concentrate on this. I hope that you're going to be able to learn something why we're going to do the next part we're going to do. Let me just see if I can. Yes. Let's move it over there just a little bit. All right. I hope you're finding this helpful. You have to let me know. Like I said, I don't like to take the time out of our regular routine and explain all these things, but I think that they are important for you to know why we do the things we do. All right, I'm going to go to the floor. I am going to do a little bit of exercise. I'm going to do, I'm not going to do all of the reps that we do. Like I said, I'm just going to give, this is not really an exercise class, but when I give you a recording of a class, you'll know why we do the things we do. All right, the next one's pretty obvious. I'm going to go through the exercises, the sit-ups. I've already said your stomach has to be strong in order for your back to be strong. You can't just work the tummy and not work the back. So in this class, we start out with the tummy and we end up with the back. In truth and importance, it should be reversed. Your back should be the most important thing that we work on, although it was requested many years ago that I finish with the back because people, after doing some of the exercises, were not ready to go down on their stomach right away. So that's, again, I've learned over the years where to put some of the exercises in my routine. We're going to call it a routine. Next one is your back exercises. Your heels are on the floor. Your back is nice and straight. You've all seen me do these, but I want you to listen again to the breathing and what I say. You're going to roll down till your fingertips touch your knees, and then you come up to the elbows, okay? What's going to make it easier or harder as far as stomach work is if you're having trouble with this one, put your feet out further, makes the balance, come back and up. If you want to make it harder, bring the feet in closer, okay? And that will make the tummy and the back work a little bit harder. So I roll back till my fingertips touch my knees, come through to my elbows, and we're going to do 5 of these. Ready? And 1, 2, 3. I'm sure I understand. Oh, there he is. 4 and 5. Wouldn't be a class without my watch having a comment. All right. The next one, again, should be fairly obvious after all we've talked about. We're working on the obliques. So we come up and we turn to the side, working your obliques. Ready? So you come down and twist. 1 and 2, straight through. Left elbow to the right knee and turn. 1 and turn. 2, straight through. And 1 more of those. I'm starting to sweat here a little bit. And 1 and 2, straight through. I'm going to take a moment, since we're here, and bring the ball into it, because on Fridays we use the ball. I like this as a tool to assist. You can use the ball, by the way, on Monday and Wednesday. You don't have to use it just on Friday. Again, I try to mix it up a little bit. But this ball, it's a fitness ball. It's called Fit Ball. But if you need the link, You can get them on Amazon. But I want to show you why I like this. I wedge it in behind my back. I lean back on the ball, okay? So I'm starting my sit-up from here. So it allows me to come back further. So I'm working, I think you're working your tummy and you're protecting your back a little bit more. So I start here, ready? And I'm gonna reach 1 up to the elbows and down, and 2 and down. So I think in a way, even though it's an assist with the ball, it makes you have confidence to be able to come back a little bit farther, tighten the tummy, and pull up, all right? And the other thing I like to do on this is I take my hands to the ceiling, all tummy, reach up, 1 and 2, 1 more, and 3. Again, you can see I can come back farther. Same thing with the twist. You twist 1 and 2, straight through. Left elbow, ready? And 1 and 2, straight through. Awesome. The next one is a little bit of a challenge for the back, and I'll do it with and without the ball. You just touch hip to hip here, trying to get those obliques working, all right? And then if you feel strong enough, you come back and touch your elbow to the floor and up. So you should be able to see that I'm working the abs as well as the back here. Come up on an angle. This, if you can do this, this is a great move, but it's also a little dangerous. So you have to be careful. If your back and your obliques are not strong enough, you could actually hurt yourself doing this one. So this is not one to start out with. You touch your hip to hip, that gets the obliques going. This is kind of an advanced move. This comes back here, tighten the tummy, pull up, okay, to be able to do that. Down, tighten the tummy, and pull up. Okay, so don't think that you have to do all the moves. I try to make variations of all of the moves. That's one of them. That one I kind of worry about. I don't want you doing that if you're not confident, okay? All right, legs are straight. These again. This is just, if you do, I like to say, if I don't do anything, I get down on the floor and I do this one because I do feel like it warms your body up. My legs are straight. Take a deep breath and exhale, reach forward. Now, if your legs are closer together, you really get a better stretch. But I can't always reach my toes from here. It's easier to reach your toes if you open them out and go like that. And again, hold this for 20 seconds. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Wonderful. All right, you're gonna do the obliques again, shoulders down, turn your body to the right, head up, chest up, and back to center, and to the left. And back to center. One more each side, ready? Turn and twist. And back, inhale, turn and twist. And back to center. Reach forward. We did that one. And now we're going to put those two together. Ready? Arms are out, shoulders down. Turn to the right and reach for the foot. Now, two things I'm going to point out here. You've heard me say this before. I'm not just going to reach for the foot. I'm actually going to make myself turn first and then reach for the foot. And up, turn first, and then reach for the foot. So I'm actually looking. One comment that we used to make when we were doing this, remember at the Annapolis Senior Center, we used to say, turn and pretend you're putting your ear down on your knee. and we can't do that. But I want you to know there was one woman in the class that could do that. She could bring her head all the way down to her face. So if you can do it, let us know. But anyway, you turn first and reach, an important part of that. Bring your feet in. Again, these are all moves that you just want to make sure that you do at your own pace. Take a deep breath. Your knees are out. Doesn't matter whether your knees are here, here, or here. Inhale. Pull your chest forward. So this stretch opens up your groin area. And yes, women and men both have that groin area. You want to make sure that it stays, that you can stretch it, and also your hip. So every time I mention that hip, know that this is a stretch for your hip, making sure that your hips are able to move and that they stay strong. Take a deep breath again. I'm going to pull my chest forward. Okay. One more that I do, which again should be obvious. Left hand on the right knee, making my whole body twist to the right. I do a lot of twisting, I know, but I think it's important. And the other side. All right. So, all right, the meaning behind that again is hips, groin area, your obliques. So some of these stretches do multiple things, okay? Next is the roll up. Again, this is one of those moves that's a little bit of a challenge, and I don't want you to hurt yourself doing it. I think I love the stretch that it does, and if you're able to do it, I want you to know that I have had 16-year-olds that can't do it, and 80-year-olds that just pop right up. So it has nothing to do with age. I think it's how we're built and what muscles fire when you're coming up. So please, again, be very careful. This is one of those moves that I think is a great one. But if you don't feel comfortable doing it, do the second option. Ready? So it's inhale, exhale down. Again, here's that stretch. You're out on the floor. Your head, your arms are over your head. Don't rush this one, okay? Get that nice stretch on the floor. I'm going to come up with the first option. Inhale, exhale up, and reach through. All right, love that one. But if you cannot do it, here's your second option. You're going to come down. Don't want you to miss the opportunity to get that big stretch on the floor. Take your hands, put it behind your back. Inhale, exhale up. Roll your head and then push from here. Don't miss this one. Reach through. Okay? So either one of them, as I've said, are fine. We're going to do a little bit more upper body here. Again, this exercise, this video is for you to watch, so you make sure that you're doing these things properly. All right. I'm going to roll down with the weights. Make sure that your elbows are out to the side. I know I say this. I put my right foot on my left knee, and what that does is that forces your back into the floor so that your back is protected when you're doing the weights. I'm just going to do a couple of these because you know these. We push up, touch them together, bring them out. All right, now what is this for? What is this chest press for? All right, this is for your chest. All right, so it's a chest press. It's not going to make your chest any bigger or smaller, but what it does is it works on these pectoral muscles here. So again, I just always want you to think the body is a unit. The body is a unit because this is your chest. This has to do with posture. If your back is strong and your chest is strong, that's going to come into play with your posture. So that's a chest press, and it is for your pectoral muscles here. The second one that we do is for the back of your arms. It's a tricep press. So your arms are straight. Bend the arms at the elbow. Extend. 1, 2. All right? That is for the back of your arm here. So when you're pushing it to the ceiling, that's for the back of your arm. All right? Many people complain or ask me, why is this? I mean, and I do a lot of a lot of weight work. A lot of it is heredity. A lot of it is the way you're built. You know, I'm really very lucky. I inherited my mom's good legs, pretty good feet, but I also got my mom's Irish arms. So you know that about yourself, and I feel lucky. My hands are strong, and my mom, like I said, she's still at 96. When we try to get her in the car, she's holding on and can pull her weight up. She still has strength in her arms, and can pull herself up into Andy's car. That's a big deal. I mean, she's just not a limp noodle. She is able to help us by pulling up and keeping. So yes, all these things are important. Keeping your muscles strong, keeping your triceps strong. They may not be the sculpture arms that we would like to have, but know that you can never stop working that tricep. Your bicep is going to be stronger and better shape because that's the muscle that we use every day, whether you're lifting things or cooking or whatever you do. We don't use this one. We don't carry things this way. So your tricep muscle is obviously going to be a little bit weaker, but we continue to try to keep it strong to balance the front and the back of the arm. That's what exercise does. It keeps us symmetrical so that your right side is as strong as your left side. You don't want one side to dominate. That's what cross training and all the things that we do. All right, I'm trying to think of what's next. All right. Oh, I like this one as well. Okay, I'm going to do this. Many of you have seen me do this. So if you can sit like this with your legs straight, okay, you should be able to sit like this with your legs straight. For some reason, some people go from here and their legs go like this. All right, if that happens to you, notice that it has to do with this muscle here. This muscle has to work in order to straighten that muscle. I want you to see again, if you can sit like this with your legs straight, you should be able to keep your legs straight here, but it does take some work, okay? It does take me holding that leg here. Take a deep breath. We're going to switch. And Ed pointed out that often when I go to this leg, I just use one hand. Ed, you're right. I think I'm always performing for the camera. So both legs should be behind there. One hand, I will tell you, I prefer you not to grab behind the knee because that does just go like this. Below the knee, if you can only go this far, or above the knee. Try not to grab behind the knee, all right? And again, remember that if you can sit with your legs straight, you can lay back here with your legs straight. This is the next one that I think is a bit of a challenge. Might be really one of the hardest exercises we do. I put my hands underneath my butt to protect my back, okay? The first way to do it is pretty much easy for everyone, especially when you're protecting your back like this. You lower the legs. 1, 2, 3. Drop the feet. Guess what you're working here? Bringing the knees in. This is working that lower abdomen that we talked about, okay? So this is a stomach exercise, believe it or not. It's 1, 2, 3. Drop the feet. Pull it in with the knees. And 1, 2, 3, drop the feet, pull it in. The next level of this is 1, 2, 3, and we lift the legs and down. Now again, this is a little hard to do if you have any lower back issues, so don't do that. Just continue to drop the feet and you'll still get the stomach work. This is another level. 1, 2, 3, and lift it up and down. 1, 2, 3, lift it up and down. The circle is the same, but everybody should be able to do that. You're just swinging the legs around, swing them around. If you feel strong enough, pick up the hip and down, pick up the hip and down. The other way. Ready? Pick up the hip and down. Take a deep breath. Whew. All right, we're doing good here. We're talking about each of the exercises, what it's working there. That move right there is probably, like I said, one of the hardest we do. Now, the next series of exercises is going to work your tummy, your hips, okay? And it is an active stretch, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I'm going to hold on here. This is tummy, so I'm going to be able to switch. All tummy, working here. Take a deep breath, hold, and hold. All right? Again, tummy, take a deep breath, hold it open, arms out, and circle in. 2 more, ready? 1, 2, around on 3. Again, 1, 2, around on 3. Good. 1 more. 1, 2, around on 3. Put your head down. By the way, at any time, if your neck bothers you, just put your head down. You can do that exercise with your head down, all right, and roll it around.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
All right, you're here. All right, your feet are together, your knees are apart. Put your hands behind your head. This is just a lovely stretch. Take a deep breath. You're going to exhale. Now, remember when I talked about stomach work, I talked about this upper abdominal area. This is what the crunch is for, the old-fashioned crunch. Take a deep breath. We're going to exhale. Pick up the shoulder blades and the head off of the floor, working this upper abdominal area, and lower it down. Take a deep breath and lift up. 1 more. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Now, really, double crunch would be to bring the feet up. Again, working your abdominal muscles here and lower it down. Lift it up and lower it down. All right. Like I said, this next series is all for your hips. Believe it or not, it's stomach and hips. So I'm lifting the leg. I try to talk to you about, before you start this one, pull your back to the floor. I might try to get my assistant down here to do a demonstration with me, because I'd like to show you this one. Lift and hold, and lift and hold. 1 more, and lift and down. I'm not going to get Andy to get down here, but if you want to know, you put your hand underneath your back, and if you pull your back to the floor while you're doing this, you should not be able to pull your hand out. We usually do it with 2 people. So somebody puts their hands under your back, you pull your back tight to the floor and see if you can, but you should feel the weight when you go like this, pulling your back to the floor, and you feel the weight on your hand, and you can't move it out. All right, the next step on this one is to lift up. 1 and lower, and 2 and lower, 3. All right, and both sides, same thing. It's back exercise and hip, trying to get your hip warmed up, because the next one you're going to do is, again, tummy and back, when you reach up and across and open. All right, so this is tummy, that your tummy has to bring up that leg, and your lower back has to pull flat to the floor. And watch what it looks like. Reach. 1 and open. 2 and open. So the tummy's working here as well as the lower back. 3. Now on Fridays, I'm going to take a moment. On Fridays, we do it a little different. We keep the left leg straight. I do not recommend you do that straight leg unless you have a nice strong back, okay? If you have any back issues, keep the foot down. All right, right leg, left arm, and it looks like this. Reach up, and open, and up, and open. All right, tummy's working, up, and the lower back, and up. Awesome. And we do both sides. All right, trying to move through here. The next one we do, which is like truly one of my favorites because it kind of loosens your hip up. You bring the knee in, straighten, and lift. 2, in, straighten. I love this. So this is one of the only times in an exercise that I will tell you to swing a little bit. So I bring my knee in, straighten, and then I swing the leg up and lower. I like to swing on this because the next exercise is when you're going to swing the leg out. So again, I'm warming up the hip in anticipation of the next exercise where I'm going to stretch the hip to the side. So it's in, straighten, and lift. I add the elbow, so it's in, straighten, and lift. Like I said, these are probably one of my favorite because I really feel that it gets you ready for the next one, which is where you add the tubing. Pull the tubing towards you. All right. Straighten the leg as much as possible. Hold it out to the side. And I count to 10. All right. And we count to 10. Again. Okay. So again, hip. We're trying to keep it strong. You're going to try to maintain the integrity of the hip by holding it with the tubing. The leg comes out, down, and up. Very straight, very deliberate move. Now, I know sometimes I do these quickly, okay, because I want to get in our time frame. But if you only do 3 and do 3 perfectly, that's much more important than getting the 5 in. So what I want to point out to you is my leg is straight. I turn the right foot to the outside. I believe I say that. The leg comes out as far as you can, down and up. So take your time with these. If you don't end up doing 5, that's perfectly okay. I'd rather you get the full range of motion here and up. And then, of course, you do both sides, okay? My right side today is going to be a lot stronger than my left because I'm not taking the time to do both sides. The next thing we do is this one. All right. Again, remember what I said. Lower abdominal muscles are when you bring the knees up, or when I'm doing these, this is all your lower abdominal. If you have any back issues, take your hands, put them underneath your hips, and you can do this next stretch of exercises with your back underneath your hips, and it still is getting the lower abdominal work that you want to get. All right, the other one's touch down, bring it in, touch down, bring it in. All right, all lower abdominals open. I'm protecting my back here. Bring it up, open, and up, open. What's the next one from here? Bend your knees, grab your toes. Again, love these. You should be, if you can still do these and get yourself on the floor and get this stretch, you don't ever want to lose this. You ever want to be able to do all these nice stretch. I feel this stretch on the inside again of my legs. I'm putting myself in a different position here. So I'm making my body do different stretches. I'm almost done, guys. I think I'm going to go real quick to 2 of the stretches I think are my favorite. One is put your right knee, I don't even know if I do this all the time in class, right knee here and pull this knee in. So this is a good stretch. Alrighty. And both sides. Or, same idea, hold the knee in and pull the leg across. These, again, are just so important because it keeps your hip, your butt, especially all the sitting that we do all day. Can't hold these long enough. Bring your right hand to the outside. Now, I think I've mentioned before on these, inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. These should be a real deep stretch so that the muscle, that big muscle, will relax as you breathe. Inhale, exhale. Pull it across. Same thing. Inhale, exhale. As I exhale, I feel that muscle release. Again, I've talked about your body becomes more efficient the more you stretch, and the more you breathe, the longer you hold the stretch. Your body will relax a little bit more into the stretch. One more here on my back. I'm going to open my hips up. Take your knees and let them come to the right. You put the right foot on this knee. This is another wonderful stretch. If you can't do this just by doing this, you should feel that stretch down the front of your leg. We've done all these stretches for the back of your leg. So this is the one for the front of your leg, running down the front of your thigh. So again, try to keep track of, we've stretched the foot when we did this, we did the ankle when we did these, we did the knees. Well, you don't really stretch your knees, but we did that when we go like this. We stretched the back of the leg when we went like this, okay? The front of the leg now when we go like this. All right, so hopefully you can see the parts of your body that we've been going after. All right, real quick now, we're ready to wrap up. The side should be fairly obvious. This is all hip. This is lifting the leg, and you hold right here. This is all your hip. All right, and then after we've done these, we do these again. Your hip open. People, I think, that have had hip replacements, they concentrate on these side ones. One more here. Again, your hip. I'm not going to bother doing both sides because the last thing we're going to do is roll onto your tummy. Most of you have heard me go on and on about these are probably some of the most important exercises we do. It's great if you have strong abs, strong arms and legs, but if you don't have a strong back, you're not going to have the posture or the balance or the strength that you need to perform all the activities. They call this class functional conditioning. Functional, that word functional was a word that Alan and I came up with many years ago, and it was because we said we are trying to give people the body that they need to function in everyday life. Not that we're super athletes, not that we're competitive, but we want to be functional every day so that we can walk and do all the things that you want. I was going to say housework, but we're not going to think that we want to do housework. But those are the things that have to be done, and by keeping our back. So many of you I know find it hard to stay with me, although I do tell a good joke at the end, trying to keep you motivated. But the back issue is, to me, paramount. Unless there is some equilibrium issue that you have with going onto your tummy, and I know that there are some students that have that, I highly encourage you to be able to stick with your back exercises. All right, we're going to go on to our tummy. I'm going to just do these quickly because you all know them. All right, arms are straight, legs are straight. You lift up your right arm, left leg. All right. And I do want to mention that when I am teaching, I pick up my head so that you can hear me. But truth be told, you should be, your spine, your back and everything should be in a straight line. Lift and hold, and my eyes should be down. I pick my head up, like I said, because I'm trying to project my voice. Same thing here. Your eyes should be dipping down. Take a deep breath and lift and down. Gold pose. Lift and down. Arms out. Lift and down. Lift and down. All right. Leg lifts, fairly obvious. I think I even already talked about them. You're just, when you're doing the leg lift, you're actually working on those muscles in the lower back, which is, again, about posture and about strength in your lower back. When we do them standing at the wall, you're doing, I was trying to get him to come down and do something, but that's not going to work. Okay, so you're lifting the leg and you're working these muscles in the lower back, which are, again, that's all part of your back. That's probably the muscle that people will pull the most when they're doing a certain twisting or moving exercise. So the leg lifts, whether they be on the wall or here, or your lower back, okay? Flex and kick. All right, almost everything we do is this way, okay? This one is to open up and make your back do the work here. Again, I'm gonna push my head and chest off of the floor. Everything else we do, we're curling the other way. Come on down. Your hands go here. Take a deep breath. Exhale, extend the arms. All right, curl your toes. Come on up, straight arm plank. Now, if you cannot do this, if you are here, just maintain this stretch for a little bit longer. It's perfectly fine. This is a little bit of a stretch. Be able to curl your toes, come up. But that takes a little bit of strength. So here is just fine. All right. One thing that we haven't been doing is a little push-up. So from here, you come down and push up. Let's do 2 more of those. Ready? I like that upper body work. Same thing that we do against the wall. Push up. 1 more. Down. All upper body, up in your shoulders. We're going to come all the way back in child's pose. All right. I want to see if I can get my assistant to come down here and do one thing with me, that's all. The right leg is straight, left arm is straight. And switch. All right, there's another push-up you can do from here. Again, many of you have done this with me before. You take your nose and touch the floor from here, push, and up. 2 more. Bring your nose down and push up and come all the way back. The last thing is part of this is going to be to come down in your regular plank. Now, you can hold this. I just do a short joke here, but you should be able to hold this for a little bit longer. And this is an overall strength move. This is your shoulders working, your ab working, your back working. So the longer you can do this, the more overall strength you will have. I do it a very short time, but you should be able to hold that for a minute. Many of you remember when we were in the gym years ago, I used to count out a full minute, and that's, you know, that is one of the best moves, and it's a pretty easy move to do. Hang on just a minute. This could be the end, but let me see if I can talk my assistant into coming down for 1 second. Andy? Are you busy? Are you dressed? Can you come here 1 second for one demonstration? Come here, please. Just for one moment. It's the end. I want to do one demonstration. So I think I've got my guest appearance. Come here, I want to do one more thing. Been working here. Hang on just a second. I need your help. Just 1 sec. I'm on recording here. Andrew? If I didn't think it wasn't worth it, I wouldn't bother. This is... I need your help with one thing. Come here 1 second. So I'm trying to demonstrate. Can you kneel right here beside me? Looking, facing me. There you go. All right. So I'm trying to explain the fact that you're, now, behave yourself. You're going to put your hand underneath my back. One hand. All right. So what I want you to know is that what I'm trying to experience here is that I'm trying to pull. Can you feel my pressure there? Okay. Now I hope you do. Can you pull your hand out? Oh, you can. All right. So obviously I'm not pulling my back flat enough. All right, let's see if I can do it. All right, can you do it now? That's the point. So that if I don't pull my back to the floor, then, and so when, wait a minute now, I don't want to knee you. So when you're doing these exercises, I'm trying to pull my back to the floor. Can you pull your hand out? Oh!
No.
Good job, good job.
Is that it?
That's it, that's all I needed.
Why are you red?
Because I was working hard.
I thought
So
you were
thank you so
embarrassing
much.
me.
No, that was good. So that's the point of that. When you're laying on your back, it's not just, it's tightening your back muscles so that your back is pulled flat to the floor. And I used to have people do it to each other. Put your hand under another person's back. If you can pull your hand out, then you're not pulling your back strong enough to the floor. And that's how you know you're working your back and your abs. All right, I think that's everything. I hope I've gotten all of it in. I think that was like an hour and a half. But it's a lot of stuff that I wanted to take the time to teach you, and a surprise visit. I will get back to teaching you October 3rd on Monday. I will send this out to you in the meantime so you can have a look at it. You should have some recorded classes that you can do during the break. And I miss you. I'll see you in 3 weeks, really. 2 weeks. See ya. Okay.